Welcome to the weekly Tuesday edition of PlayStation Console Gaming News. The main highlights today: PS5 Pro sales have exceeded all expectations. Sony is already working on PlayStation 6. The classic God of War trilogy and PSP titles will be released on PlayStation 5 as remasters. Concord is planning a revival, and the father of the classic Silent Hill is not entirely pleased with the remake. To stay up to date with the latest news, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, get comfortable, and let's dive into the main events of the past week. The PlayStation 5 Pro has become the most popular console on Amazon US. The announcement of the new console sparked a wave of active discussions. Some said this console isn't necessary, while others argued that the $700 price tag is too high. However, online debates often differ from reality, as the console is being actively purchased. On Amazon, the PlayStation 5 Pro is currently the most popular console and the #1 bestseller in the PlayStation category. And these are just pre-orders. The console will only be available starting November 7th. By the way, I explained why the PS5 Pro isn't as bad as some say online in a recent video on the channel. Feel free to check it out if you haven't already. PlayStation's competitors have also released new consoles. Yesterday, the Xbox Series X Robot White and Galaxy Black became available for purchase. Technically, they are identical to the standard versions, except for the increased storage capacity and unique colors. However, due to a mistake by Walmart, some users were able to get their consoles a few days before the official release. This allowed us to see not just renders, but actual photos of the consoles. In my opinion, the white version looks really beautiful. Rumors about Ubisoft being sold, which started spreading after the failure of Star Wars Outlaws and the company's stock dropping by almost half, turned out to be more than just rumors. The company is indeed in negotiations for a sale, not only with the Chinese giant Tencent, as an insider from Bloomberg claimed, but also with other companies. It's possible that Sony might be involved, which could balance their AAA game library in comparison to Microsoft after the Activision acquisition, so we'll keep an eye on it. Sony is already working on the PlayStation 6. Headlines like this began appearing on various news sites after the Tokyo Game Show 2024. Allegedly, behind closed doors at the presentation, journalists were shown a concept of the new console, which is expected to be released in 2027. This is quite anticipated, given the rumors about a new generation from Xbox in 2026, and it seems logical in light of the following news. The announcement of the PS5 Pro caused Xbox Series sales to plummet by 58% in Europe. If this console was selling somewhat before, with the launch of the PS5 Pro, many began to wonder where the more powerful version of Microsoft's console is. Since Xbox doesn't plan to release an upgraded version, seemingly having accepted defeat in this console generation, the situation is likely to worsen further. The gap between the PS5 and Xbox will become enormous, so it's a predictable move for Xbox to release the next generation a year earlier than its competitor, just like they did with the Xbox 360, to give their anniversary generation a faster start. According to insider Lunatic Ignis, Santa Monica Studio, in collaboration with Nixon Softwares, has completed work on remasters of the original God of War titles. The collection will include 6 games from the God of War series: the first trilogy, God of War Ascension, God of War, Ghost of Sparta, and Chains of Olympus. According to the insider, the games will be re-released as remasters, and the developers are currently waiting for Sony to give the green light to announce the collection. It still remains a mystery to me why this remaster wasn't done earlier, while instead, we see Sony successfully launching another Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, a second The Last of Us, and so on. Sony has shared some rather interesting information regarding the compatibility of disk drives, panels, and supplies across all PlayStation 5 models. Owners of the PlayStation 5 Pro won't be able to use decorative panels from the second version of the console, although the disk drive will be compatible. I'm not surprised by this decision, as it wouldn't be a typical move for a Japanese company to allow the use of panels from the slim models. Given this trend, if you want to change the appearance of your console, you'll have to buy new panels. Media Research, a company well known among analysts, conducted an interesting study that showed 53% of gamers prefer single-player games. This trend only increases with age. While younger players and the youth audience are drawn to online games, after the age of 20, gamers increasingly shift towards single-player gaming. Among players over 55, the share of single-player fans reaches as high as 74%, so friends, start looking for some good single-player games in advance. Digital Foundry compared the second The Last of Us for the PlayStation 5 Pro as well as the standard version. And no, these aren't frames from the Pro version. In the new Pro mode, the enhanced console delivers significantly sharper and more detailed visuals compared to the performance mode on the base PlayStation 5 or the Slim, and it also runs at 60 FPS. The secret lies in Sony's PSSR upscaling technology, which allows the PS5 Pro to render the game at 1440p and then upscale the resolution to 4K. In quality mode, the difference between the consoles is almost unnoticeable, except for the FPS. On older versions, it's 30 frames per second. As you've probably guessed, the Pro's advantage is rooted in the new PSSR technology, which truly shines on 4K devices. However, it remains unclear what the difference in image quality would be if, for example, a gamer is playing on a 2K monitor. It would be interesting to see a graphics comparison. It seems that Sony has decided to bring back a dead project. Concord is being prepared for a comeback. If you check the game's page on SteamDB, you can see that the developers are regularly updating content, uploading new builds several times a day. Some users speculate that if the game does return to the market, it will likely be as a free-to-play title, as buying it even for a token $15.20 isn't considered a great deal. It's quite possible that Concord will indeed return under a new distribution model, as a lot of resources have been invested, and the developers themselves noted that they had the first year of the game's lifecycle ready. So, we'll be watching the development of this so-called ambitious first-person shooter. After all, a similar approach once led Fortnite to dominance in the Battle Royale genre. In case you didn't know or had forgotten, Fortnite originally launched as a paid game. Here's some interesting information that will be useful for PlayStation 5 owners who play on 120Hz devices. Enthusiasts have put together a complete list of supported games that feature a 120 FPS preset, provided the display device is 120Hz or higher. So far, the list includes 107 games, focusing on online shooters, sports simulators, as well as narrative adventures like Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, A Plague Tale Requiem, and several titles from the Resident Evil series. This list is expected to grow over time, so you might want to keep it handy. It could come in useful. It has been revealed that the development of Black Myth Wukong cost $43 million, which is less than most AAA titles today. The studio was able to avoid additional costs thanks to efficient management and subsidies from the Chinese government, which helped to significantly reduce expenses. Even with marketing and other external costs factored in, the total amount spent on Black Myth Wukong was $70 million, which still remains below the budget of many Western projects. This is why Western companies are increasingly considering outsourcing game development to Chinese studios, or, like Sony, handling the marketing themselves to promote Black Myth Wukong and Phantom Blade Zero, gaining exclusive terms that prevent the game from being released on competing platforms. It's a solid strategy in its own way. A new Battle Royale shooter, Off the Grid, from the director of District 9, has arrived in early access on PlayStation 5. The creators themselves describe their work as the future of the Battle Royale genre, incorporating elements of extraction shooters. The project is already being promoted through popular streamers, including bundles with ninja-themed skins. The game will also feature blockchain and NFT integration for trading and exchanging loot. Anyone interested can try out the game on PlayStation 5, even without an active PlayStation Plus subscription. My first impression, though, is that the game still feels a bit rough. Despite decent graphics, the environment is entirely static, and some movement and interaction elements are clunky and unpolished. Hopefully, these issues will be addressed by the time of the full release. Now, this is something I've been personally waiting for as a fan of survival horror. Sega has officially announced a sequel to Alien Isolation. The game is being developed by the same studio, Creative Assembly, and is currently in the early stages of production. Details are still under wraps, but it's known that the original game's creative director is working on the project and has already thanked fans for their support and dedication to the game. If the new Alien Isolation doesn't encounter any unforeseen circumstances during development, the earliest we might see any details or possibly some gameplay footage would be in 2028, in the most optimistic scenario. Despite a successful launch and high player ratings, with 9 and 3 out of 10 from critics after 900 reviews, Masashi Tsuboyama, the director of the original Silent Hill 2, expressed mixed feelings about the remake of his creation. On one hand, he's glad that a new audience can experience the classic, but on the other, he has reservations about many of the changes made to the game. Tsuboyama believes that the developers focus too much on technological upgrades like 4K and photorealism, overlooking the deeper meaning of the original game. Perhaps artificial intelligence is to blame, as I mentioned in one of my previous issues. For those who missed it, I'll remind you, Sony is increasingly committed to using AI technologies in the creation of games and remasters, and they may have already started incorporating these new technologies. The only new feature he liked was the over-the-shoulder camera, which makes the gameplay feel more immersive. Despite the pros and cons, as a fan of the Silent Hill series, I have to say that I absolutely loved the remake, and the atmosphere feels like a 10 out of 10. Some aspects may have been trimmed to suit a modern audience, but I wouldn't say it's as critical as the original creator describes. According to insider Tom Henderson, despite all of Ubisoft's setbacks, the Splinter Cell remake is still in development, and that's very good news. The remake will be based on the Snowdrop engine, which was previously used in projects like Star Wars Outlaws, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and The Division 2. Although it was officially announced back in 2021, there have been occasional rumors about the remake's potential cancellation, but these have not been confirmed. Henderson's information also indicates that the game is not expected to be released before 2026, provided Ubisoft doesn't encounter any major issues. On October 9th, Sony announced the upcoming lineup of games for PlayStation Plus subscribers, Extra, Deluxe, and Premium. 10 titles are being added to the Extra catalog, 4 to the Classics catalog, as well as VR options. Among the highlights in October's lineup are Dead Island 2, the Dark Pictures Anthology, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Wildlands, Grizz, Ghostbusters, and others. Most of the audience has warmly received the new games on PlayStation Plus, so right after this video you can start downloading the ones you like. As of today, they're available. Well, that's all folks. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss anything. See you next time.